I'm not able. I'll share the screen.
So here we go. We are dealing with language and speech disorder. So in brief, I've just tabulated it. So what's the definition of language? It is a rule-based use of speech sounds. That is, language is governed by rule. That is something we have to remember. It's rules all over. Grammar is also dominantly about rules. And speech is nothing but vocal utterance of language or sound that we produce. So that is a basic difference between language and a speech. This is very important for us to understand to take this chapter forward. Second is the disorder. What does language disorder involve? It involves processing of linguistic info. That is the language in the form of perception or cognition or expression. There you find some kind of an impairment. Whereas in speech, it is difficulty in producing normal speech patterns. There itself, the stepping stone in itself is impaired. Then problem areas, as we see, if I'll just take on one at a time, one disorder at a time, wherein we will definitely discuss about the problem area in detail. So here I'll just briefly tell you, it is about grammar, that is syntax or morphology, and semantics. Semantics is nothing but meaning of it, and the other aspects of language, because language again is culturally impacted, and then it is also kind of ruled. Different languages have different rules all over and different grammars. So speech is about voice, articulating, and fluency. And the causes, as and when the disorder comes, I shall take it in detail. So let's move on to the next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yeah. So this again is about what is language disorder. It is problems involving grammar, semantics, and other aspects of language. It does not pertain to a speech. Speech is still finer, but language here is about grammar, that it is ruled with grammar and other certain cultural aspects. Cultural aspect, why do I insist on cultural aspect? Because, for example, chuckling is not allowed in our household. That is, if you have to say no, say suppose Ritika says, Mridula, will you sing? I'll say no, I won't sing. But then I cannot chuckle. I cannot say I won't sing. That is considered to be very rude. Whereas in in an African tribe, especially the Kalahari tribe, you will see a language is predominantly about chuckling. They produce various sounds through chuckling. So that is a cultural difference that, as I mentioned. So language is definitely impacted by culture. Again, what is this? What do we have in language disorders? One, it is delay in the use of speech sounds as compared to the normal development. See, there should always be a benchmark when we say, yeah, this child has not picked up this. In comparison to what? That is why many of these LDs, are known only when the child starts going to kindergarten, wherein they compare the child. It's an easier comparison of the child with respect to other peers. So that's the reason why we know certain disorders very late, only when the child starts going to school. This language disorder can affect both spoken and written language. So these are affected, definitely affected. Without fail, we can write that it is spoken and written language is affected. And failure to follow arbitrary rules. Rules become very difficult for the child to follow. And etiquette, that is communication etiquette. You don't talk out of your turn. You don't talk interrupting someone, and so on. It is very difficult for the person or the child to understand that. That is where this language disorder comes into picture. Next slide, please. Next slide.
I changed it. You can't see it?
Oh yeah. So it is about, so what is the language disorder main types? So one would be aphasia. So aphasia is something, it is an inability to understand or produce speech as a result of brain damage. There is brain damage here. When it comes to aphasia, always remember there is some brain damage, and that's the reason why you have, inability to produce speech. So again, there are two categories of it, which our textbook doesn't mention. It is fluent and non-fluent. Always aphasias are categorized as fluent and non-fluent aphasia. So what is this fluent aphasia? Fluent means speech flows easily, but the content of the message lacks meaning. Here, the content doesn't, you don't understand the content, but you understand the speech. It flows, like water. There is no problem there. What do you mean by non-fluent speech? Non-fluent is a speech when, maybe difficult for understanding and some words may be absent altogether. So they skip some words. The speech is very difficult to understand and so on. That is how it is categorized. Now, first comes Wernicke's aphasia. It is fluent aphasia. Why is it named Wernicke's aphasia? It is after Carl Wernicke. He found out that area of the brain that is called Wernicke's area. And this aphasia is when that area is damaged. So, what are the symptoms of it? Notable impairment in understanding of spoken words and sentences. It is a fluent aphasia, yet what happens is they find it very difficult to understand your words and your sentences. Then, fluent phonetic and syntactic, but semantically incoherent speech. That is, there is no meaning. The child would say anything and everything. There is no problem with the speech sound as such. But then the child can substitute some word or can say misplaced blend into a certain word, but make up a word, a funny word. But still, there is no hindrance with the speech flow. Again, meaning takes a beating here. Creation of nonsense words, improper substitutions, unaware of the mistakes in speech. See, this is one thing which we all must understand. The child is blissfully unaware of the mistakes in the speech, where the child doesn't understand that it is making a speech, and yet, the adult population expects the child to know that it is making a mistake. And then there is you must understand that it understands visual material. See, the child is visual, and therefore it understands all the pictures, how it looks, how the apple looks, and it understands how the things are, when it perceives the knowledge visually than written or spoken words. Written and spoken words play havoc in the child's brain, and that's the reason why it wouldn't understand. Then comes why is it like that? What is the cause of this aphasia? One, it is because of the lesions or damage in the middle of the left side of the brain. So I will share a picture of this aphasias in the WhatsApp group, where you will see that which area is affected. Here in Wernicke's aphasia, Wernicke's area is affected. In Broca's area is affected. There are particular areas where the child, where the damage is done in the brain, and that's the reason why we see this aphasia. And again, what happens is stroke is a potential cause as it affects the blood flow to the brain, as it kills brain cells, resulting in this type of aphasia. Please remember, stroke is something which has to be taken care of. And that's the reason, people worry when there is a stroke, because there is a brain damage or a part of the brain or major part of the brain. We never know. We have to do certain scans and figure out. But then stroke is something, that is why when people have BP, they always monitor the BP. BP has to be controlled. Your anger issues have to be monitored and taken help if need be, and so on. So these are the reasons why you will see stroke appearing time and again, because that's the reason I gave the explanation in the slide in itself, that it cuts off the blood flow and thereby it kills the brain cells. Next slide, please. Okay, so here we come to Broca's aphasia. Now, Broca's aphasia is non-fluent aphasia, and it is named after French physician Pierre-Paul Broca. He found the Broca's area in the brain. This is the area responsible for this function of a human being. So therefore, it is the Broca's area. Now, this aphasia is why is this aphasia? Because this is a damage to that Broca's area. So that's why it gets its name. And excess pauses and slips of tongue. See, that's why it is non-fluent. Omitting words like the, a, and is, because the sentence articles are omitted, and so on. Poor or absent grammar. As a result, there is no grammar at all. See, this is the difference that we all have to note when it comes to Wernicke's aphasia and Broca's aphasia. Here, grammar goes for a toss, whereas Wernicke's aphasia, grammar has no problem there. And then difficulty in forming complete sentences. Obviously, there is difficulty because words are omitted. More difficulty in using verbs than nouns. I'm not sure why this happens, but the research has said that there is more difficulty using verbs than nouns. And then there is trouble in reading and writing. See, this will come everywhere because there is no the child doesn't place importance to a, the, and that those things fly off the brain, right? So while writing, the same thing is reflected. And there is difficulty to follow directions as well. The child finds it very difficult to follow instructions. Why is this happening? What are the causes for this? So this is like because the damage caused to the premotor areas responsible for controlling motor commands used in speech production. See, this is important. Which motor areas are damaged? It is the damage to those motor areas which cover our speech, like maybe a voice, larynx, or your jaw, lips, and so on, nose, and so on. Then what is the result? Why this happens? Again, another cause given is that stroke, injury to brain, infection to brain, progressive Alzheimer's disease. Again, progressive Alzheimer's disease can also cause Broca's aphasia. This is something we will see again in the Alzheimer's thing. Next slide, please. Next comes global aphasia and anomic aphasia. So these are the 4 types of aphasias. Again, the third one would be global aphasias. This is non-fluent. See, once you remember fluent and non-fluent, you will be able to write one point there. That is, the speech is either clear or it is incomprehensible. So here, since it is non-fluent, highly impaired comprehension and production of speech. Then why does this happen? Because there is lesions to both Broca and Wernicke's area. So this is where both the Broca's area is also damaged and Wernicke's area is also damaged. That's the reason why we have global aphasia. And around 32% of the aphasia is due to stroke to Wernicke's and Broca's area. Again, there is stroke here. So that is why the stroke, managing our stress, managing our lifestyle becomes so very important. Because we cannot afford a stroke. And then comes anomic. The last of the aphasias is called the anomic aphasia. It is fluent aphasia. Difficulties in naming of objects and retrieving words. See, naming of objects becomes very difficult for these people. Like I have gone for a walk and I saw an animal. Which animal is that? The dog doesn't come out that easily. You would have seen a dog, but that word dog doesn't come out that easily. Sometimes specific category of things cannot be recalled, such as names of living things. As I said, the very word dog, the name of that dog would have been repeated in his life like 101th time. Yet he fails to, recollect the word dog. He would say, he would generally say that, oh, I saw an animal. And again, here the same point repeats: stroke, brain injury, brain tumor, neurodegenerative diseases. What is neurodegenerative? The neurons are degenerating. That is, they are going to a point where they cannot be recuperated or brought back to life or something of that sort. Next slide, please. Again, second point, after aphasia comes, in language disorder, it comes autism. Autism is a spectrum, we must remember. Autism is not a definitive thing. It comes in a range. And the person affected comes under a spectrum. So we need highly skilled people to say what is the degree of autism, what is the spectrum of autism, where does the patient come, where does the child come, and so on. So a developmental disorder, what does autism mean? A developmental disorder of variable severity that is characterized by difficulty in social interaction and communication, and by restricted or repetitive patterns of thought and behavior. The very important point is repetitive patterns. See, they repeat certain things. That is a most important point. So that is given a name called echolalia, which means repetition of speech that has been heard. And you wouldn't believe it, they can go on for hours together, repeating the same thing, from they don't change, they will repeat. Once they get into that repetition mode, they repeat. That is called echolalia. So it is 5 times more common in males. Most of these disorders, as I've read, they always say that it is more common in male, maybe 5 times, or maybe 10 times, or something of that sort. I honestly do not know why is that a reason. Maybe after the class, the floor could be open for that discussion. Cause, what is the cause for this? Abnormality in various areas of the brain, including the frontal and parietal lobes, as well as the cerebellum, brainstem, corpus callosum, basal ganglia, amygdala, and hippocampus. See, all of these have been seen when we have taken the brain, parts of the brain class. So we have seen all of these. And imagine if a particular disorder can impact all of these, and we can, that is the reason why it has a wide spectrum, like the severity of it, or maybe mild to severe. And then there is increased case in recent times. And why is there an increased case in recent time? See, mostly it might be due to environmental changes, is what researchers say. That is, there is a lot of pollution, and food habits have changed, and so on. Approximately 60 out of 10,000 children are diagnosed today. So imagine, in a country like India, if 60 out of 10,000 children are impacted, it is a huge number. So this has to be addressed, and the therapy or remedial methods has to be, in place. Next slide, please. So learning disability. See, learning disability is shortened to LD. Kindly don't write language disorder as LD. It is never LD. It is always learning disability is called LD. So LDEs, there are many LDs, learning disabilities. So what are they? So LDs are disorders that affect the ability to write, use written or spoken language, do mathematical calculation, coordinate movements, or direct attention. See, although learning disabilities occur in very young children, the disorders are usually not recognized until the child reaches school age. As I mentioned, see, we need something to compare someone with. We need certain parameters to be compared with. And when is the comparison very favorable? When there are a lot of children in the group, right? And when does that happen? When we go to school, where there are a lot of children to be compared with, only then the responsible adult will understand, yeah, this child is not doing this what the other children are doing, this child is not doing this what the other 40 children are doing. So that's the reason why it is recognized very late. And it is you and the other factor would be, it is kind of recognizable with the learned skills like reading, writing. They are all skills that we procure later on in our life, say after 5 or so. So that's the reason why it is diagnosed very late. um, and then there are certain LDs here, one being dyslexia. See, this is a very common thing. Even by what I have read, even Einstein had some form of LD, wherein he was considered to be the most unfit child in that class, and teachers used to, I mean, kind of reprimand him time and again, and he used to dislike school so much because of the claustrophobic environment there. So that's the reason why we need adults, responsible adults who are so into this and who know what exactly they are dealing with, and who show great amount of compassion towards a child or an adult who is suffering with these kinds of learning disability. So dyslexia is basically, it affects reading and related language processing skills, wherein the child will kind of not understand. Again, the grammar is very like a mammoth task for the child to understand what is he or she reading. Reading, becomes very cumbersome for the child, and that's why we need to have a lot of patience with these children and deal with them very lovingly and caringly. Again, dyslexia is divided into two. One is primary dyslexia. What is primary dyslexia? It is the dysfunction of, rather than damage to the left side of the brain, cerebral cortex doesn't change with age. So this is not the damage to the cortex, cerebral cortex. Rather, it is a dysfunction of it. That is, it's not working. For some reason, it is not working as it should be. So that is called primary dyslexia. What is developmental dyslexia? It is caused due to problems with brain development during the early stages of fetal development. So, this is within the womb. There is a problem within the womb, and that is why there is a this developmental dyslexia. These days, we have all these 3D scan, sonograms and stuff like that. So, wherein the identification has become rather plausible than the earlier days. So, next slide.
Guys, before we go on, I'm so sorry to interrupt. Before we go on to the next slide, I wanted to mention one thing. People with learning disabilities are basically one of the a few of the most creative people in the world. They're very intelligent despite of this learning disability as well. If you see, if people have seen Tare Zameen Par and the example of Einstein, these people are very creative. They came up with amazing stuff. They're not people with learning disabilities are very intelligent. They must not be mistaken for people with low IQ. Uh, thank you, Mrudla. You can go ahead.
So is it for all people with learning disability or exceptional
Major,
cases?
major. They're
Major.
major people. Major.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think what Mradula just said, that we need responsible adults so that we can find the quality of the child. If we don't have responsible adult to understand the child, then the problem happens. So
That is true. That is true.
so we need to understand that and then cultivate habits or whatever the child likes, and accordingly, like even Einstein was an example where is this him whose mother said you are extraordinary and you need not to go to school, right?
I think so. Again, it is up to the teachers also. They shouldn't belittle these children. They should be well trained enough to identify those tasks.
Edison was not able to read.
Edison, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we need those kind of responsible adults who can, cultivate that intelligence in those child instead of just putting them into depression like even the teachers does. They always differentiate sometimes, but even teachers today are becoming very responsible and they treat children accordingly as per their intelligence or. So that's one good thing is happening.
When I say practically, whenever there is some disability, see it learning disability or even CP patients have this. CP means cerebral palsy patients or even Down syndrome. They are very good in other things. Like Down syndrome people are usually very good singers that I have seen in my career. So whenever there is disability at one area, other area becomes overactive. That's why there is creativity seen in all the disability people.
Very interesting. Good. Thank you. Thank you, Vasudha. Thank you, Dr. Anju. Radula, let's go to
Yeah.
the next.
Yeah, next slide, please. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so here we have two more these like dyscalculia and dysgraphia. So what is dyscalculia? Where the numbers play havoc in the child's head, where math concepts play havoc, where the numbers seem here and there. Like in dyslexia, the child would read one letter which is supposed to come on the right, he will read it to the left, and the words go here and there. But in dyscalculia, it is the math, not the number concept, which kind of plays funny tricks. Again, dysgraphia is where the handwriting and fine motor skills are affected. That is what, when a child, before the child is given pencil, we always say you should work on the pincer grip of the child, that is 3 finger, wherein you have to give the child to pick up objects with those 3 fingers, wherein, and then he or she has to be promoted to hold a pencil and so on. So that motor skills have to be worked on. And here in the Montessori, we have various tools where the child is equipped with the pincer grip, and it is done on repetition. See, that is one more major thing, that you have to do it on repetition without losing hope, without losing patience. This has to be repeated. Lastly, it is non-verbal LD. So what is non-verbal LD? It is trouble interpreting non-verbal cues like facial expression. So facial expression, suppose I'm angry and I show you my face. All of you would know that I am angry just by seeing my face. So you are well equipped to cognitively understand my facial expression or my body language or my emotions. But these children will not be equipped with such understanding, may have poor coordination as well, in their motor skills they will have poor coordination. Next one, please.
Again, I'm so sorry to interrupt again. Again,
Hey,
when it comes to dysgraphia and dyslexia and these type of disorders, it is mostly associated with your simultaneous processing and successive processing. Now, this again was repeated in the past theory, which was explained previously, where a person who fails in these two, that is the successive and the simultaneous processing, tend to have these problems on a larger extent. Thank you, Mrudula.
yeah. So moving on, we'll move to Alzheimer's disease. So this is something that is seen to be diagnosed, and it seems to be on a upscale right now. There are a lot of people who are diagnosed with Alzheimer's right now. And what is this? It is nothing but a brain disorder that leads to decrement in language processing ability. The vocabulary they had at point A will not be there at point B. It would have decreased. And if it affects elderly person, so far there hasn't been a case where a younger person has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. It is normally seen with elderly people, and it causes progressive, diffuse, and irreversible damage to the cortical regions of the brain. That means it is irreversible. See, this is one point that we always have to remember. This is non-degenerative. That is, it is irreversible. The loss is loss. And what happens here? The brain cell connections and the cells themselves degenerate and eventually destroy memory and other mental functions. They degenerate, they die off, and there is no way that they are recuperated or something. That's the reason why the memory is affected and other mental functions are affected. Like, they might think their thinking capacity is impacted here because of the degeneration. What they have seen is what people have found due to autopsies. See, normally an alive person was unable, the scientists weren't able to study an alive person with Alzheimer's, but of late they are able to do that with high-end uh, equipments and methodologies. But earlier, what used to happen, once the patient used to die, a patient with Alzheimer's used to die, they used to take his or her brain for autopsy. And what did they find in that autopsy? They found protein deposits. And one of the proteins involved was amyloid, which forms a plaque. Like how, if you don't brush your teeth, there is a plaque formed there in your teeth. So same way, there was a plaque formed around the brain cells and other protein. There was another protein called tau, which was deposited and which formed tangles within brain cells. Imagine the degeneration seen here. If such a thing happens, even to one neuron, so many things are lost, right? And dementia is the onset of Alzheimer's. Most of the people think dementia is something else and Alzheimer's is something else. No, it is an onset of Alzheimer's. So study shows that the onset of Alzheimer's disease overlapped with that of aphasia. So here again, as I've said in the first sentence, language processing ability is affected. So same way, aphasia is nothing but that, right? It is one of the language disorders. And that's the reason why it is affected. Vocabulary moves from specific words to generic words. See, poor thing, they can't identify it in generic, in specific terms, like this is a cat, this is a tissue paper. No, they kind of just go ahead. If they have they've read Times of India all their life, suddenly it becomes paper. They'll not say Times of India, they'll say it's a paper. So moving on. So specific language impairment, it is SLI. So this is the fifth one. It is considered as SLI, shortly considered as SLI or developmental language disorder. There's another name given to it. Now, as the name suggests, there is specific impairments only. Difficulty in acquisition and use of language, typically in the context of normal development. Again, this is a benchmark. See, you need to have what is a normal vocabulary. Suppose a child speaks, say, 1-year-old, 3-year-old has to learn 100 words, or 4-year-old has to know 1,000 words, or something of that sort. Here, there should be a benchmark for normal people. And there is a problem here. How do you identify problem in comparison with the norm that has been set by the society? Absence of neurological, sensory motor, non-verbal, cognitive, or social emotional deficit. So this is one of the best feature of this. Like, there is absence of it. There is no neurological problem, no sensory motor problem, no non-verbal cognitive or social emotional deficit is seen here. So delay or deficit in the use of function morpheme, like a, is, the, articles are gone, and grammatical morphology, like they cannot bring themselves to add plurals sometimes. A dog, if there are many dog, it is dog. To put an S next to that dog, it kind of takes a lot of effort and a reminder maybe. And then past tense. Past tense is I sit now, I sit yesterday. They'll not they will not even think. Even overgeneralization is not seen here. Like, some children do that. I sitted yesterday. At least they have put ed, thinking that it is the rule of the language. But here that is missing. And then signs are seen in kindergarten. Again, we come back to kindergarten and usually persist into adulthood. But it is workable as such. Difficulty in comprehending and producing complex sentences, obviously, because they leave out those articles and morphemes and all that. Then difficulty in finding the right word. I knew that, it was in the tip of my tongue. We usually say that, but for them, it is a regular thing happening, that that thing I just forgot. Oh, that thing, what is that called, kind of a thing. Frequent grammatical and spelling errors, yes, obviously. And disorganized storytelling and writing. So this is one of the features here. There is disorganized in thought, how it comes, the story, the flow of the story. There is a starting, there is a middle part, there is an ending, but that goes for a toss here. And writing obviously is impacted. And another feature that is seen here is difficulty in understanding figurative language. Suppose I say, I have been behind you to finish this chore. They will not understand that I meant it figuratively. They will always argue, like, you were not behind me. Literally, you were not behind me, kind of a thing. But I wouldn't have meant it that way. I would have meant figuratively. Among SLI children, 50% will develop dyslexia. See, this is one thing that is seen. 50%, half of them will develop dyslexia because of the reading or any other acquired skill deficit. Next slide, please. So Next, sixth one is like developmental phonological disorder. Now, what is this? It is difficulty in learning and organizing all the sounds needed for clear speech, reading, and spelling. So there is phonologically it is missing. Speech and language difficulties such as grammar and syntax, stuttering, or word retrieval difficulty. So they need to pronounce one word and that doesn't come. So what do? You prolong that, or you kind of stutter, or you kind of find that the word itself is difficult to retrieve, and so on. So cause is largely unknown but seems to have a genetic component. So here they think it is hereditary, but we are yet to know what exactly is the precise reason. May occur in conjunction with other communication disorders such as stuttering, SLI, or developmental apraxia of speech. So this is an important point because that is why we reiterate any disorder has to be diagnosed only by an expert or a person dealing with that. It cannot be done by any Tom, Dick, and Harry. See, what a teacher or another responsible adult can do is recommend that, yeah, this and this person deals with the speech and language pathology. Please go to him or her instead of jumping the gun and diagnosing the child just because the child couldn't say one spelling, or the child couldn't bring out one word, or the child forgot one answer, and so on. So no, that should never be done in with respect to children. Appropriate speech language pathology treatment is successful in eliminating or bringing it down. This is one of the best factors that it can be worked upon, as I said, and that is how we have to take it forward. So this is about developmental phonological disorder. Next, we'll move to dyspraxia. Yeah. So it is the impairment in the ability to plan and carry out sensory or motor skills. So poor balance, see, as the first thing says, sensory and motor skills are affected. So you have to remember sensory and motor skills affected. And that's why, again, the next point comes easily to you, like poor balance, coordination, clumsiness. And here there is another point. Vision problem is also seen here. Perception difficulty. Yes, there is definitely perception difficulty. Emotional and behavioral problem. Why this emotional and behavioral problem is because, it is frustrating, isn't it, to be there and people are not understanding. People are not getting what where you come from or what is happening within you. And that's why, I think this emotional and sociological problem has to be mentioned probably in most of the disorders, because unless and until the child has an understanding and responsible adult ready to listen and cater to the child's need, frustration is bound to happen. So this is a lifelong disorder, um, unfortunately, and does not affect a person's intelligence. See, here, this is the beauty of it. It doesn't affect, you can't bracket the child as dumb or good for nothing and stuff, because some adults do that, and it is so wrong to bracket a child. They have average or above average IQ. They are out of sync with their environment. See, this is one of the worst thing. The child is unable to fit in, not because it is not trying to, but it is, there are a lot of things that is going haywire within the child. That is why it is unable to do so. And 10% of the population have some degree of dyspraxia, wherein 21% of them have severe degree of it. So this is how it goes. Again, it is a spectrum. Again, it is a range. That is why we do not attach a particular number to it. Causes unknown. Underdevelopment of motor neurons. See, within the brain, that is control muscles, whichever motor neurons are the ones that control our muscles, and is suspected. That is, however you want to, motor, sensory and motor tasks are affected by, that point comes naturally because motor neurons are affected within. So that these 3 points you can write, within seconds. Like, you don't even have to have uh, other methodology to remember this. It is about sensory motor tasks, and there is The sensory motor is affected. Obviously, there is coordination, clumsiness, vision problem, perception difficulty, and due to that, there is frustration. That's the reason you can write emotional and behavioral problem and difficulty in reading and so on. And then why is it happening? Because of underdevelopment of motor neurons. So these are the 3 points you can just write. And what are the therapies that are suggested for this? Is occupational therapy, speech and language therapy, perceptual motor training, equine therapy, active play, etc. What is equine therapy? Equine therapy is horse riding. See, there are certain animals which are considered to be stress relievers, or certain hospitals abroad allow certain animals to be taken within the hospital so that they can soothe the patient, they can calm the patient, and this is how it is. And if you will be interested to know that the Harry Potter star Daniel Radcliffe had dyspraxia, some degree of it, at least. So this is how it goes. And there was one very interesting story which I read, that one of the boys who couldn't read, who couldn't, kind of mutter language words and had difficulty in it, his parent took him to a dog shelter, and she slowly asked him, "You read for the dog." And slowly the child became an voracious reader, and every holiday he used to go to the dog center and he used to read. So this is the beauty of it. So it can be worked upon. And uh, there should be this responsible adult who is willing to put in that effort and not give up hope on this child. So that's very important. So moving on. So we'll move on to, now we have finished all the language disorders. Now we are moving on to speech disorders. So what is speech disorder? Speech disorder is the difficulty in producing normal speech patterns. So first one would be voice disorder. It is incorrectly phonated or incorrectly resonated. So why doesn't the voice resonate properly? Suppose there is hypernasality. What is hypernasality? It is lot of air coming from your nose. See, there is a fixed amount of air that will come out of your nose, but there is lot of air. If lot of air comes out of your nose, then it will become a problem. Or when you pronounce a particular word, or if there is hyponasality. What is hyponasality? The opposite of it, wherein there is less amount of air coming out of your nose, and thereby the pronunciation is affected. So the resonation is affected here. And suppose you say na, there is a fixed air coming out and it is pronounced properly, it resonates properly. Suppose I close my nose and say na, then it sounds very different, isn't it? So that is what is happening here. And it is caused by problems when air passes from lungs through the vocal cords and then through the throat, nose, mouth, and lips. So these are the organs which help us, talk or produce a speech. So that is why it helps in expression of a language or a speech sound. So these are the organs. If one of them are affected, your speech may be disordered. So the parameters. Now, what are the parameters for us to diagnose a voice disorder? Why? So first one would be volume. See, either loud or soft. It has to be of the right volume. Pitch, pleasant or unpleasant. Sudden change of pitch. When someone is talking, suddenly if I start shouting, and if I go to a higher pitch, how will it sound? It doesn't sound rather right. Quality of speech. Suppose you have heard, why do certain singers stay with us even years after years? Like, Mohammad Rafi, even his songs are still listened by the younger generation. Why? Because there is such melody in his voice. The voice quality is amazing. And the rate. Today I'm going extra speed. This is not my rate, the way with which I, normally talk. But due to time crunch, I'm going extra speed. But there should not be there should be a considerable speed to any speech. Only then there will be it will be considered as a normal voice, or else you will come under voice disorder. So next, please.
So I
second,
have a clarification. So here it means if anybody see, normally some people always talk at a high pitch volume, even at
mm,
office or
mm.
even we have family members. So you mean to say all these people are having a
No,
affected by this disorder?
See,
no.
not necessarily.
Who
Sometimes
talks
it
speed
also,
and who talks loud and who
uh,
screams?
see, sometimes what happens, that child would have seen the father talking in loud speech and it
Mm,
imitates and it becomes a habit. Once it becomes a habit, then it is very difficult for us to unlearn and relearn certain things.
mm,
So that is the reason why we don't see there, like we don't judge that person or we don't bracket that person. But if you have a doubt, saying that the person is always in a louder
mm.
pitch when it is not necessary and stuff like that, we kind of recommend a speech and language pathologist.
Mm.
But we should not jump into conclusion. Okay, there are other factors as well. Suppose a person is hard on
Maybe
hearing. See, when there are people who are hard on
Mm,
hearing, they tend to go on a louder pitch,
mm,
thinking that the other person
mm,
needs the same pitch.
what
mm,
I could interpret is that, see, when a person doesn't have a control on the voice, then it probably goes into disorder. I mean, he might think that he want to speak low, but still, if he can't control, then probably it can be qualified as a disorder. Is it not the case?
Yeah.
See,
The
daily
control is
life
not
we
being
must
a
be
disorder.
seeing, even on the phone, lot of people, if you go into the public, a lot of people always, talk so loud, right, on the phone also. So that is their habit.
But there is
It's
other
not that.
habit. I mean, yeah, I
Mm,
mean, habit is one thing. Let's say if there is a person who he wants to speak, soft, right? He is making a deliberate attempt to actually speak soft, but still he can't really control. Then,
mm.
then it is something that is qualified as disorder, isn't it? Right?
Yeah, possible.
But the
Because
example what I'm referring is people, unconsciously, they are like this. They always talk loud, be it in a face to face or on a phone. So those kind of people I'm referring. So
I would like to add something here. I think that is also something related with community. If you go to different communities, they have different tone. So if you go to where I live in Chennai, so I know the kind of tone and the volume people have when they speak. When I'm in Bangalore, people speak here in a very different tone, and the modulation. People in North speak in a very different tone. In fact, in my own house, my mom speak very loud.
same example I'm trying to say. That's why
And
I'm trying
Cultural,
to
right? This is a
understand.
cultural aspect.
it's cultural
Yeah.
aspect. So sometimes what Mradula said, we imitate. So when we imitate, so we are imitating maybe our own elders, maybe our own what do you call, the neighbors or the school, and that's how we pick it up. So I don't think that is a disorder, but that is more
It's
of a
not a disorder.
imitation.
Okay. They
Also, they
wanted
forget they're talking on the phone. No, they'll believe that if they scream, they can directly hear them.
Don't, let's not give more option to all the therapists who are speech therapists, especially. Otherwise, everyone needs to go to them and they will be like overbooked. Let's get back to our topic.
Yeah, so second one, we'll move on to the second one here. So speech sound disorder. So here, as the name suggests, difficulty in producing specific speech sound like sir, r. If you see, children do have, sir, r, especially is very difficult to be pronounced. But we are not jumping the gun and saying that, oh, that child has speech disability. When does it come? Articulation disorder. Sounds are added, omitted, substituted, or distorted. Suppose the child has to say school and the child ends up saying coo, coo. No matter how many times you tell, the child wants to say school, but it ends up saying coo. Yes, so it is articulation disorder. Then phonemic or phonological disorder is something having trouble to produce certain sounds in certain words. See, the wording is very important here. They have problem producing certain sounds in certain words only. Like example, they will say boo for book, but they can say key. That means there is no problem in saying the phonic k. But with book, they will omit the k and say only book, boo, sorry. And second, they will say p for pig. but they can say go. So there is no problem in pronouncing g, but they will say p. They'll omit the g there. Pig. G is omitted. They'll only say p. So this is the disorder here. So moving on to the next one, that is fluency disorder, which is popularly called as disfluency. Next slide. So if sounds are very rapid, extra sound, like cluttered, sounds are repeated or blocked, words are repeated. So this is the symptoms of fluency disorder or disfluency. Stuttering is the most common disfluency. People stutter. Why? Because they are having disfluency and physical action. And some, people add physical action because there is this inbuilt struggle to bring out a certain word or bring out a certain sound there. So what do? They get to blinking. When they blink, clench their fist, blink, then that word comes out, or that's what they think. And head bobbing, or they toss their head backwards and say that, oh, now the thing comes, or they toss their head forward to, or they jerk their head to bring out that particular sound or word. These physicality is also seen in some people, not everyone. And causes, what are the causes of this disfluency? Combination of familiar, psychological, neurological, and motoric factors. Now, what happens is they say that stuttering is usually psychological, and it is a vicious cycle. Once the person starts stuttering, his esteem is lowered, his confidence is lowered, and again he brings back. It goes on and on. That's why psychologically you need to work with people who stutter. And
What was stutter means? Can you please tell me again, Pratula?
stutter,
Okay, both.
dog.
Okay. Got it.
Actually, there's one comedian who's actually made a career out of his stuttering.
That Airtel advertisement, right?
No, no, no,
Yeah,
no, no, no,
and-
no, 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 no. No, this is actually true. There's an entire series on his comedies and all that. If possible, I'll send you the link on WhatsApp.
And obviously, one good example is Shah Rukh Khan in that.
My
He
name is
he
Khan.
does it out of style.
Kiran.
I mean,
Alright.
Is stammering and stuttering both same?
Yeah.
Not exactly. I doubt it. Stuttering, maybe you're stuck at the particular word. Stammering is rolling of the word.
Example, please.
I'm not currently
Maybe you
aware
can-
of an example, but I shall try getting you one. I'll see if I can put it on WhatsApp. And who was this asking the question?
Soundarya.
Oh, hi. Sorry.
Hi.
I'll see if I can put this up on the WhatsApp group.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's go back to our topic. Otherwise, we're gonna be late. It's already 8 o'clock.
Yeah, give me 15 minutes more, guys, please.
Don't worry, Pratula. Just take your
Yeah. So the causes, as I said, it is family wise or psychological wise, neurological and motoric factors. Then comes, a beautiful example of Abraham Lincoln. See, Abraham Lincoln used to stutter a lot, and for him to be a politician would require him to come before so many people and then talk to them. But he couldn't do that. Why? Because there is this stuttering. And so he used to go to a jungle and he used to speak loudly. Every single day he used to go and he used to repeat this exercise. He used to speak as if the trees were his audience. And that ended up making him one of the finest orators he has ever seen. So, there is one movie of Colin Firth named King's Speech, and that is where a king, would-be king, is having this problem, wherein initially you should see his hesitancy to go around, go and seek help. And then once he does, he undergoes rigorous exercises for the same, and then he comes out so beautifully, and he gives the king's speech. Next, we'll move on. to. Now the fourth one of speech disorder, apraxia of speech, which is also shortened to AOS. It is also called verbal apraxia or verbal dyspraxia. So what is this basically? Trouble in speaking. They know what to say, but they can't. Imagine, it is like being in your own prison, isn't it? You know what to say, but you can't. And you're trying so badly. Its prosody ranges from severe to mild. And again, it's a spectrum, all right? It has a range. And this affects the pathway of the brain involved in the planning and coordinating the movements that are necessary for the speech. So this is a pathway itself is affected here. And that is why you know what to say, but you can't say because the expression is affected. Then what are the types of apraxia? One is acquired apraxia of speech, may occur together with muscle weakness affecting speech production. It is also called dysarthria. So when the muscle, remember this, when it comes to dysarthria, it is muscle weakness. Muscle is affected. Which muscle is affected? The one that aids the speech production. That muscle is affected. So that comes under dysarthria. Or language difficulty is caused by damage to the nervous system. And now when the nervous system is affected, it is called aphasia. So this is an easier way to remember this. Yeah, the muscle is affected,
Can you
it is
repeat,
dysarthria.
please? Sorry, Mridula, can you please repeat this last part that you said?
Yeah, so this is, we are talking about apraxia of speech. So the first one is acquired apraxia of speech. So when does it occur? When the muscle, there are two cases here. Again, when the muscle is affected, which muscle is affected? The one that aids in speech production is affected. That is called dysarthria. And the language difficulty caused by damage to the nervous system. If your nervous system is impacted or damaged in any way, it is called aphasia. So this is one of the two things that you have to remember. If the muscle is impacted, it is dysarthria. And if the nervous system is impacted, it is aphasia. Then main result from stroke, again and again, this is stroke, head injury, tumor, or other illness affecting the brain. If there is some degeneration happening within the brain, this can occur. Developmental apraxia. Why is developmental apraxia? So this comes when it is present from the birth and it affects more males. Again, we wonder why does these disorders affect males more. And this is also shortened as DAS. The causes are unknown till date, but some believe that it has got to do something with overall language development. So if it is language development only, it should have come under language disorder. But others believe that it is a neurological disorder. That is why it is classified under speech disorder. So let us move on to the fifth one. It is dysprosody or pseudo-foreign language. It is the rarest of the neurological speech disorder. So this is very rare to be found. Symptoms are alteration in the intensity of the speech. Your intensity of the speech is impacted here in the timing of the utterance segment. Suppose I say half the segment now and half the segment after some time, or with the pause, or without full stop, or something of that sort. Rhythm is impacted. Cadency of words is also impacted. Now next, what happens is the causes for this is nothing but neurological pathologies such as brain vascular accidents, cranioencephalic traumatism. I'm yet to look up this cranioencephalic traumatism. And then there is brain tumor. So this is what it goes. And this is all about dysprosody and pseudo-foreign language. Let's move on to the sixth one. That is the last one of our speech disorder. So dysarthria. See, remember the names, dysarthria. What is this? It is a motor speech disorder. It is paralysis of speech muscles caused by the damage to the nerve and or brain. So this is due to the damage caused to the nerve or the brain, some aspect of the brain, which controls the speech muscles. Again, often caused by strokes, Parkinson's disease, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, ALS, then surgical accidents. See, surgically also sometimes there are accidents happening. So that also can cause to this, or cerebral palsy. So this also can cause this dysarthria. Then comes, what are the symptoms of this? Slurred speech. They cannot manage the speech. Why? The muscle is impacted. Speaking softly, whispering, slow, rapid rate of speech, mumbling quality, limited tongue, lip, jaw. Why? The muscle of these speech organs are impacted. Movement is impacted. Abnormal intonation. Intonation is nothing but rhythm. Abnormal rhythm, because they are struggling with their muscles. They are not moving as in how they want it to. So that's the reason the rhythm is impacted. Then changes in vocal quality. Hoarseness is seen. So obviously, the organs are not supporting. Even the vocal cord may be impacted. You never know. Drooling. Why? The lips are not closed. The jaw is not tightly allowing the mouth to be shut. Poor control of saliva. Chewing and swallowing is also challenging for these people. So that's all about speech disorder. Now we'll see a bird's eye view of what we have learned today. It is the last slide.
I want to ask a question. What disorder does Stephen Hawking have? Like, I know there's a delay in what he wants to tell, but he knows what he wants to tell.
See, he has some motor neurological syndrome, some syndrome he has, where his muscles were all weakened when he was in college, and he couldn't even stand up, sit, and all that. But his cognitive wise, his brain was functioning. The cognitive, where he wanted to learn about stars, black hole, everything. That aspect of the brain was definitely working. But the motor, the brain that had motor control was not working. Hello.
Yeah, fine. Thank you. Got it. I'm still trying to figure out.
Yeah. But then even for me to, put it under a particular disorder will take time. And if I get to do that, I will definitely, get back to
Thank
you,
you.
Soundarya.
Yeah, thanks.
I think the recording can be stopped now.
This is the last slide. I think,
Oh,
we
okay.
should
Sorry.
go ahead with it.
I thought it was over. Sorry.
But no worries. So we'll just see what we have learned. Okay, so far. So aphasia. This has come for 6 marks. Okay, language disorder. In language disorder, what all are there? One, aphasia, autism, learning disability, Alzheimer's, SLI, developmental phonological disorder, dyspraxia. So there are 7 categories in language disorder, amongst which aphasia has come for 6 marks, autism has come for 3 marks, Alzheimer's has come for 3 marks, and dyspraxia has come for 3 marks. All right. In aphasia, what are the categories that we have seen? 4 categories. One is Wernicke's aphasia, Broca's aphasia, global aphasia, anomic aphasia. So amongst which Wernicke and Broca are very important. They have come for 6 marks. So they are very important. Then in learning disability, what have we seen? Dyslexia, dyscalculia, and dysgraphia. So dyslexia has come again for 6 marks. All right. Then in dyslexia, there are 2 categories. One is primary dyslexia and one is developmental dyslexia. Again, we move on to speech disorder. The entire speech disorder has come for 10 marks. All right. So amongst that, the categories are, what are the speech disorders that we have learned today? Voice disorder, speech sound disorder, dysfluency, apraxia of speech or AOS, dysprosody, and dysarthria. So all the 6 categories, amongst which apraxia of speech or AOS has come for 6 marks. Dysarthria has come for 3 marks. That's it, guys. Done and dusted. Yeah.
Wow, Mridula. I mean, this was your first class,
Excellent.
which I heard, and it was excellent.
Excellent.
It just
We can stop the recording, I think. Thank you, guys.
Very nice.
You should take
As
one
Yeah,
class
really
every
nice.
The last slide is
Who
really
is that?